Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. This is Charles Perot, and I am a senior proposal manager with GDIC. And the GDIC is presenting this webinar this afternoon for the Defense Logistics Agency's offering. This is the Logistics Modernization Integration Support, or LMIS RFP, that we are doing a preparation and Q&A after the presentation. A little bit as we get started about the administration of this webinar. The webinar is recorded, so everything that's going on in presentation and the Q&A and the chats that are going on, these things are all being recorded for reference, and the addresses and the emails that you have submitted to be included in this webinar will be the ones that we send the links to for the recorded notes. So be aware that you'll be able to go back through this material. Also, we'll hold a Q&A session at the end. So if you send questions, there's a chat box on your right. Just feel free to use the second icon down on that little blue strip there on the box to get to the chat, and you can send that over. We may not be able to respond to it real time, but if it gets brought up during the Q&A, we can discuss it there, or there will definitely be follow-up on all questions later on down the line. Finally, you can download the presentation itself by clicking under the file on the right-hand side, and that is just the file icon. It's third from the bottom. It says file sharing, and that'll give you access to the deck that we're presenting from today. Okay, so let's move forward. First, a little background about GDI itself. GDI Consulting has been supporting and helping to prepare the opportunities and proposals, submissions, and presentations for our clients for over 10 years. The highlights of that performance has been a great surge in growth. There's for last year alone, there's a 68% growth in revenue, or I should say overall, there's 68% growth in revenue, 12% increase in IDIQ and GWAC wins, 23% increase in new clients. You can see some of the details down here on the slide. As far as win rate goes, very high percentage over the past 3 years, reaching 81% in terms of win rates for submissions. Experience in terms of the staffing and the professionals that are part of GDIC. Over 50 of the proposal managers and contributors have over 20%, or I should say 84%, have more than 20 years of government and proposal experience. There's 50 proposal managers and writers overall. In 2018, where we have complete or more complete metrics, there's 210 wins for 2018, and we're anticipating great results for 2019 as well. The following slide, this just shows kind of the distribution of some of these successes, some of the wins on these proposal submissions, and without getting into the details, you can see that the breakout and the dollar amounts, or I should say at least the ballpark figures, in the billions range here. On the left, you've got IT, engineering, and defense. You've got management and professional services, also construction, environmental, and facility maintenance opportunities, all of which GDIC has recorded multiple wins in and has professionals with extensive expertise in the preparation of submissions for these areas. So for today's webinar, in order to address what the DLA LMIS opportunity is, we're going to go through the following points. We're going to talk about what the focus of this opportunity is, We're going to go through some of the high points, the highlights, some of the major areas to be addressed, the proposal structure in terms of the layout of the submission, the evaluation process, prioritization, and the approach that the reviewers will be taking, and also the proposed win strategy. Something that the GDIC is, carefully constructs with the client in order to come out with your put your best foot forward and approach, for the opportunity that suits your organization best. Services that GDIC provides, finally, in terms of the level of participation that your organization might require or desire from the experts that we present, or that we also have on our side. And finally, we'll have the Q&A at the end, where we'll address questions that you guys have submitted by chat. So feel free to go ahead and send those in during the presentation itself, and then also if something occurs to you based on discussions during the Q&A, you can send in follow-up questions as well. With that in mind, I'm going to turn this over to Ab Vand, and he will be getting into the details of the opportunity itself.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Hello, everyone. My name is Ab Vand. I'm VP for Capture and Proposal Development at GDIC, and we'll go through the Logistics Modernization Integration Support project from here on. Okay, let's look at what the focus of this program is. It's essentially a modernization program for DLA distribution. So they have had this discussion for a while. Their systems are old, and they want to modernize their various systems. That includes, as they have mentioned, innovative cutting-edge MHEs, systems and mechanizations, the various variable or autonomous technologies that are available for this side of this sort of work, and operational, technical, sustainment, and maintenance support and activities. So all of this is part of it. Also, life cycle management. Essentially, DLA distribution has 5 modernization strategies, and they have listed them here. And they essentially, the task orders that they will provide will fall under one of these: major industrial automation, material handling equipment, workforce mobility, application data and analytics, and warehouse IT infrastructure. So under this program, all the task orders that will fall will be covered under one of these 5 areas that they are planning for their modernization. And it has been in more detail. I've listed the various areas that supplies and services that they're expecting to provide task orders. I'm not going to go through it. You can take a look at it later. It's also, of course, obviously in the RFP as well. But it gives you a fair idea of the type of work that they're looking for. They're looking for all types of support, innovative ideas in terms of their systems, from shipping lines and inspection lines and receiving lines, all the way to things like programmable logic controllers. So, I mean, it's all sides of the spectrum, from very physical stuff that needs to go into the warehouse, all the way to the software, hardware, and even PLCs that SCADA and all that goes into the system. So let's look at the highlights of this project. Obviously, the name is Logistics Modernization Integration Support by DLA Distribution. DLA Distribution is a specific part of DLA. Its main goal is to distribute the logistics throughout the system. Now, some of the important dates that you should be aware of. The pre-solicitation for this came out October 31st. although they have been talking about this for over a year or even more. And they've had internal talks. When we talked with some of the program managers in this, they've been after this for some time now. So this is the result of, I think, over a year of work that they have finalized what they want, really. The solicitation was released on 22nd of November, and there is a pre-solicitation starting today and tomorrow and day after tomorrow. So, but you need to have been registered already to be able to attend. I hope that everybody is already registered and are going to attend or have attended. Questions are due by December 20th, and then the proposal is due by the end of January 31st, 2020. So these are the main dates that you should remember. Some of the highlights, other highlights. This is a multiple award IDIQ. It has two pools. Pool 1 is enterprise facility modernization, and pool 2 is material handling. And they're going to award multiple contractors on each pool. It's a full and open competition. The next code is 333922, which is conveyor and conveyor equipment manufacturing. But as you can see, it covers almost everything about warehousing, all the way to software and hardware and all that. The award ceilings, 205 million for pool 1 and 150 million for pool 2. That's for all awardees under each of those programs. So if there are 5 awardees for pool 2, that means on an average, each awardee will get 30 million. Obviously, it's a task order. I mean, it's an IDIQ, so it depends how good you actually participate and win on it. The period of performance is 5 years, so it's a fairly long project. Let's go into the proposal structure now. Obviously, this has a large, or I should say huge proposal. There is no page limit to any of it. So they're expecting a very detailed and concise proposal to be submitted. It has 4 volumes. Past performance is volume 1. Volume 2 is technical and business approach. Volume 3 is subcontracting and small business approach. And volume 4 is price. Now we'll see in the evaluation section that this is essentially also the ranking of importance. So volume 1, in other words, past performance, is the most important factor, and price is the least important factor. And we'll get to that later on. Now, volume 2 is different. As I said, there are 2 pools. So for pool 1 and pool 2, volume 2 is different. Obviously, you need to address different issues. So for pool 1, past performance is obviously the same, although, I mean, the requirements, although you might want to provide different contracts for each of the pools. But essentially, there are 6 areas that you need to cover. What they call an index of previous contract data. You need to provide relevant prime and subcontracts performed within the past 5 years. That's within the past 5 years of the RFP issuance, which was November 20th. So within the past 5 years for that. Now, you also need to provide information that shows, based on those past performance, how well it correlates to the requirements of this RFP. Then third thing that you need to provide is the past performance questionnaire that you have to get them filled out. And also you need to have a description of the quality awards or certifications from the offer, yours or your major subcontractors. In other words, any kudos or anything that you got, technical excellence in the services required, all of that can be submitted. Also, fifth thing is past performance information showing compliance with the FAR regarding utilization of small business concern. So you have to prove and show, provide information that shows that you were compliant with that. And the sixth thing is the same past performance information to demonstrate compliance with having a small business subcontracting plan. So these two go into this volume 1 past performance as well. So essentially for both pools, this has the same requirements. Now you might decide to provide different contracts based on pool 1 and pool 2, but what you need to provide are these 6 areas. Now for volume 2, the structure for each pool is different. So for volume 1 for volume 2 technical and business approach, this slide shows the requirements for pool 1. Essentially, you need to provide an executive summary, then factor 2, which is delivery order, scenario design, and integration. Factor 3 is delivery order, scenario, project management, and sustainability. Factor 4 is management approach, and factor 5 is cybersecurity. Now, as I said, in terms of evaluation, volume 1 is more important than volume 2, but then in volume 2, the order of importance is exactly as shown. Obviously not executive summary, but I mean factor 2 is more important than factor 3, factor 3 is more important than factor 4, and factor 4 is more important than factor 5. Now, the sub-factors under each of these are equal. So, I mean, under factor 2, we have 3 sub-factors, A and B and C. They're equal in terms of the evaluation factors. But this is it. So, in other words, after past performance, factor 2 is the most important. Then comes factor 3 and onwards. Now, as you can see, this is for pool 1. For pool 2, the structure of volume 2 is a little bit different. You have just 2 factors, factor 2 and factor 3. Factor 2 is delivery order, scenario design, and integration, and everything essentially goes there, including cybersecurity, including project management. All of that is there, and these are of equal importance under factor 2. And then factor 3 is global partnering, strategic alliance. You need to show how well you perform in that sense, how well you can partner and provide strategic alliance, which is less important than factor 2. So these are the requirements for volume 2. For volume 3, which is subcontracting, small business approach, there's essentially just one factor, factor 6, small business participation commitment document, under which you need to provide your prime offer size, small business concerns that you're going to use, and some of the supporting documents that they're asking for. And this is the least important out of the 3 volumes, the non-price volumes. And then the 4th volume is obviously the price volume. Section 1 is the usual administrative documents, and section 2 is the pricing. Now, you also need to provide a subcontracting plan. And this is for the large businesses only, of course. And then OCI certification and OCI mitigation plan. This is important. They have mentioned that it's a pass-fail one. So if your OCI certification and mitigation plan are not acceptable, your whole proposal will be set aside, rejected. So you need to make sure that this is a good one, properly and well-written OCI certification and mitigation plan. So coming back to the evaluation process, the government will start negotiation with those who are shortlisted. So this is one of those projects that they will do a lot of negotiations with the companies who are shortlisted. But how do they decide who will be shortlisted? As I mentioned, the volume structure speaks to the order of importance in the evaluation process. So volume 1 is more important than 2, and 2 is more important than 3. And under volume 2, as I said, sub-factors under each factor are equal in weight. However, the sub-factors, the factors like factor 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the order of importance as well. And then they've mentioned that non-price factors are significantly more important than price. So essentially, you really need to work first on your past performance and then on volume 2, which is the technical business approach. So it is important to partner because first of all, volume 1, which is past performance, that is the most important volume. So you need to make sure that your provided past performance, which is yours and your partners, is the strongest that you can provide. So that's why partnering in this project is very important. Also, when we talked with the people at GSA, they really want to make sure that the awardees that they're going to award the project to do have the capabilities to cover all those different areas. They don't want an awardee that is focused only on software engineering, for example, and can provide warehouse softwares. They want hardware, software, physical, and all those different innovative ideas that they have mentioned and be covered in the focus area. So it is important that when you want to go after this, you provide a full hand to the government, and they want to see that in the team structure that you're going to submit to them. So your teaming, your partnering is important both in the past performance volume and also in the second volume, the business volume, which shows how strong your team is and the government can rely on you. Now, I should mention that for primes who are looking for subs and have gaps in their either past performance or in their capabilities, and for subs who do want to participate in this, cannot go by themselves, we can provide, if you let us know, if you communicate with us, we can introduce you together. We will do that freely, of course. So do let us know if you want to, if you're looking for a sub or if you're a sub and looking for a prime. So what should your win strategy be? This is, of course, in a high level win strategy. Obviously, once we take on a client's job, it's a much more detailed assessment. But generally, obviously, you need to do a gap analysis on past performance because past performance is king. The volume 1 past performance is the most important volume in terms of the weight that the government evaluators are going to give. So you really need to shine there. And you do need to do a gap analysis and see where you're missing anything. And that takes you to the second point, how you should actually partner, what your partnering strategy should be based on that gap analysis. Now, once you're done with your past performance, you need to put everything you have on volume 2 because that's essentially where we will either win or fail. So volume 2, after you're happy with what you've done with your past performance, is where you should focus. Now, one thing that if you've not already started, and I'm assuming that you have already started, but if you've not, you need to run for it. This proposal doesn't have a page limit. When there's no page limit, per our experience, that means that the government is expecting a very large project. They're not expecting just a few pages. It means that they're expecting you to cover each and every of those requirements in volume, especially in volume 2, in very, very detailed fashion while actually adhering to the requirements. So this is a big project. Now, if you're going for both pools, which you can, obviously you have a double the effort that you have to put because essentially volume 2 for pool 1 and pool 2 is different. So it's really important to start, if you've not done so already, and bring in as many resources as you can within your organization to go after this, because you really need to prepare that second volume properly. And in continuation to that, if you do not have a capable proposal team, or you do, but I mean they're either short-handed or are concentrating on other jobs, then you really need to get people help from outside your organization and get some support for your proposal team. You need a strong team to be able to prepare, especially that volume 2. And whether you do have a good proposal team or not, we always tell our clients to get a second set of eyes to review their proposal, reviewing their proposal and finding out what the missing issues are. And we usually we tell them that this should be from an outside company or an outside organization, because obviously all people from within a company do have a specific set, mindset, and you really need a complete different perspective to be able to provide a good review. Now, one of the things that we do suggest is that if you have people who have experience, have worked at DLA distribution, or are familiar with the pain points and the projects and the problems that DLA distribution has, to be present in your review team. That's really important. We call them agency SMEs. We usually bring them on in our review teams because it's important to understand what the pain points of the government are. And that doesn't come out from the RFP itself. You really need to have somebody who's been there before, retired contracting officers, retired program managers, things like that, who know what the issues are and can help us, can consult us and provide reviews. So that's essentially the win strategy for this. And the services we can provide you in this is obviously a full proposal development. We can provide partnering arrangements. If you're missing any parts, we can go out and find partners for you. We provide full proposal preparation, and if need be, capture management. Now, capture management might be a little bit too late at this point, although some competitive intel might be necessary to find out who your competitors are, and based on that, adjust your proposal. We also provide reviewing and auditing for our clients, pink, red, gold, in case you have your own proposal shop and would like us to review. And then some companies are asking us for staff augmentation, they're short of proposal managers or writers or SMEs. In fact, we've already been asked by 2 companies to provide what we call an agency SME, which, as I said, is a former DLA distribution program manager or contracting officer, and they will sit on on our client's review team. So we can provide different sorts of staff that you might be short of. So that essentially ends our presentation on this. We've put it our contact info just in case you want to contact us either technically. If you have technical questions, you can contact me, Avant, or if you want to have a call and discuss how, if you want an offer or anything like that, you can contact Maroon Freedy, and the information is here. On that, we can come to the Q&A, and Charles, please let us know what the questions are and see if I can answer.
Absolutely. The questions have come in. We're light on questions. I think the presentation must have covered a lot of the high points. But one of the last topics that you talked about was whether or not partnering was allowed and encouraged. And though you said yes, there were specific questions saying, can I bid, through a primary, and how do I, get in touch there? So I think maybe reiterating that they can go through the contact info that you just mentioned. Is that
Yes, sorry.
is that
Yes,
you?
exactly.
Okay.
I mean, whoever wants to is looking for a prime, let us know. Just send us an email. Our contact information is on the PDF files that you can download, and we'll get back to you. In fact, if you want, you can also, if you want to be a sub, you can write in the chat that you're looking for to be a sub, and we can look for primes. Vice versa, if you're a prime looking for a sub, you can also put it here in the chat, and we'll follow from there as well.
Okay. I think I've seen one or two have already done that, so we'll have your contact information on file if you're interested. Someone will be in touch with you. Another is kind of a general question that folks who are utilizing GDIC often ask, and that is there a blueprint or a formula that follows to get successfully shortlisted on offerings like this?
Well, I mean, there's no magic wand on this. You really need to write properly. You need to have good past performance. They've left your, I mean, you are allowed to partner. So if you are missing any past performance yourself, you can bring in partners to fortify your standing. And then you have to write well, the way that they want to see it, especially in volume 2. And then you get shortlisted. So I wouldn't say, there is a template or there's, any magic wand to do that. It's just good proposal writing and writing properly, using all the capabilities of the company and partners to actually create a professional proposal.
Okay. I think everything else on here is more specific to the organizations. So that's what we have so far in terms of the offering RFP and webinar questions to this point.
Okay, good. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I would like to also mention that we are holding a webinar tomorrow on BetaSAM. This is the second webinar, the more advanced one, on the capabilities of BetaSAM, because everybody is having problems with that website, which has replaced the FBO website. So that's tomorrow at 2. Thursday, we are having a webinar on STARS 3. And next week, too, we'll be holding 3 webinars on the upcoming upcoming RFPs or pre-solicitations, and we will be sending you the list of these webinars later on. Thank you, everyone, for participating, and I hope that you have a great afternoon.
All right. Thanks, everyone.